This is the story of 3 generations of one family and the building of 3 brands. A dream that began with one man who recognized a need and possessed the spirit and drive to see it through. That man was Westy Bucky. Although his formal education ended after 8th grade, Westy became a voracious reader at an early age. He taught himself skills in electronics, mechanical engineering, and refrigeration. In 1926, Westy Bucky moved his family to Madison in search of better opportunities. Westy soon found work in the refrigeration field, but as the Depression of 1929 hit, work became scarce. He took on side jobs, including work as a refrigeration consultant for renowned architect Frank Lloyd Wright. He soon recognized a need for reliable home refrigeration and began experimenting. Word spread of Westy's success with his experimental freezer units. He saw his opportunity and hired his brother Charles to construct wooden shells in Rice Lake. He then shipped them to Madison, where Westy and his son Bud completed the units. As World War II came to an end, the economy started booming, and so did Westy's business. In the summer of 1945, he decided to incorporate, choosing the name Sub-Zero for the below-zero temperatures his units produced.
Well, both my dad and my grandfather, they built the business on quality. It's always been the cornerstone of Sub-Zero, and now with Wolf and continuing on with Cove.
It just so happens Bud was studying engineering at the University of Wisconsin Agricultural School. Bud's newfound knowledge and ties with the university proved invaluable. By 1951, Westy decided to create a separate research and development department. He put Bud at the helm, and in 1954, the first prototype of the Sub-Zero built-in was introduced. Throughout the late 50s, Sub-Zero expanded its marketing of the built-in line and continued developing industrial refrigeration. Suburban housing developments of the 60s introduced modern home decor. The built-in line fit that design perfectly and became Sub-Zero's largest selling model. The 70s ushered in an era of advancing technology. With management of Sub-Zero in Bud's capable hands, Westy felt it was time to retire. 3 years later, he passed away. The company he created and nurtured would continue to grow. Bud continued in his father's footsteps, but his health was becoming an issue. So he hired longtime business associate Homer Price. Homer agreed to run the company should something happen to Bud.
I was made president, and Bud was, chairman of the board.
Sales were skyrocketing. A new built-in plant was established to handle the increased volume. Development of an overseas market had begun, and a new leader was coming up the ranks.
Jim worked in sales. He worked with the distributors. He worked with the service people. He worked with me a lot. So it was kind of a natural.
Jim was in place to become manager of a new plant that was under development in Phoenix. As construction began, Bud's health deteriorated. 2 months before the plant's completion, Bud Bucky passed away in May of 1981.
As a little girl, I would ask my dad if we were rich. And he would look at me and he said, "Oh, we're very, very rich." But it's not because we have money, it's because we have each other. And that was the essence of who he was.
In 1984, Jim was invited to join the board of directors. Then, in 1989, he took the reins that his father had held before him. Jim took Sub-Zero into the next decade with new concepts, such as integrated refrigeration and wine storage units. Just before the turn of the century, Jim made the decision to acquire Wolf Gourmet. It wasn't long before Sub-Zero and Wolf together became kitchen soulmates.
We needed to come with a cooking line. I looked extensively at other brands. I never felt that any of the other brands had the same DNA as Sub-Zero, and that's when we decided to develop our own cooking line.
The increased demand for product drove expansion. In 2008, a warehouse in Arizona was purchased and converted to a manufacturing facility to house the new integrated line of products.
It's been a tremendous facility for us. That was 400,000 square feet, which was the original building.
With the continued success of Sub-Zero and Wolf brands, the logical next step was to complete the kitchen suite with a cleaning product.
And, go talk to consumers, or you talk to builders or developers. They want a suite of appliances, and that's why we introduced Cove.
The introduction of Cove propelled another expansion in 2016. A total of 650,000 square feet were added in Fitchburg, Wisconsin, and Goodyear, Arizona. And the secret to 75 years of success? It goes all the way back to the company's pledge of quality and innovation in their products.
It's all about new product development, keeping your lines fresh, keeping ahead of technology, because you're really trying to tap into the needs and wants of the consumer.
The dynamic and innovative leadership of 3 generations of the Bakke family has been vital to the success of these 3 brands.
I think we can do the same thing that we've done, build great products, and still be the leader in the space that we've led for a long, long time.
Live freshly. Live joyfully. Live gratefully. Live deliciously. Live graciously. Live colorfully. Live spotlessly. Live deliciously. Relish every flavor, recipe, guest, and each and every occasion to share wholesome, home-cooked food together. Live deliciously.
From what I've seen about Jim, there's 2 loves he has. One are products and features and the design of the product.
We feel bullish that our 2 brands are right now the elite brands in terms of high-end refrigeration and cooking products. And with that, you need to back it up with world-class facilities.
And 2, he loves facilities. When Jim took over as president and CEO, he understood we needed to move forward.
The kitchen, the heart of the home. We gathered here, we conversed, we told about our day, we told about our dreams, and we cooked. But then, over time, we handed over our cooking to someone else. Did you know in 1900, we had 98% of our meals in the home? Today, it's less than 50%. We spend less on food at the grocer now than at any other time in history. Less time preparing it, too. A mere 31 minutes a day. We complain we have no time to cook, yet we fill up on cooking shows rather than doing it ourselves. Oh, sure, there are lots of reasons we don't cook like we used to, from economic to governmental to both parents working. But you know who the real villain is? These guys. We joke, oh, sort of. Yet the spud, our most popular vegetable, by the way, it symbolizes our reliance these last few decades on letting someone else cook for us. But is it really this little slice of fried nirvana's fault? No. It's processed food's fault. It's the drive-thru's fault. It's kind of all our faults. So, how do we fix it? Easy. Start with one. One family dinner a week. Set a time. Set the table. And just cook. Keep it simple. The act itself is powerful. Next week, maybe 2 dinners. Soon you, along with a whole bunch of others, can lay claim to your own kitchens. And maybe we as a society can grow a little bit, get smarter, and more importantly, healthier. Here are a few really easy-to-do tips. First, make a plan. It's the best way to ensure you'll cook. Buy fresh. Cook it while it's fresh. There are websites to help, apps to help, maybe even just make an old-fashioned list. Next up, celebrate the goodness of food. Food is so important. Good, fresh, delicious food is extra important. Embrace this, and you may soon learn to love cooking healthy, tasty meals for your family to enjoy. And last but not least, cook together. We know you're busy. We know you need 25 hours in your day. But really, if you can set aside some time when screens are off, when everyone's in the kitchen and dare we say it, helping prepare a meal, we'll talk about togetherness. And that's what Reclaiming the Kitchen is all about.